in the Money Media. Derby coverage continues after the fact with our pedigree expert, Alex Henry. Alex, going into this year's Derby, we did a video about pedigrees. We didn't talk Mystik Dan. I'll admit part of it was because when I took a cursory look at this pedigree, I thought, this horse probably doesn't want to go 10 furlongs. What did you think going into this year's Derby? And what do you think about this Mystik Dan pedigree coming out of this year's Derby?
You know what, Pete? I had the same thought. I saw on top Golden Sense, like, no way he wants to go 10 furlongs. He's not getting the distance. But that was pre-race. Obviously, this horse is all heart. He can easily get 10 furlongs, even by a nose, by a nose, by a nose. He got it. It's his. The roses are in his stall. After the race, taking a closer look, and admittedly, on me not to do this before the race, but now we have the power of hindsight, so we can take a closer look. So we have this Golden Sense colt. He looks just like his sire, that gorgeous blaze down the front of his face, just a gorgeous, gorgeous bay colt. He's out of a dam called Ma'am, and which I always have to say with some attitude, ma'am, like you're in line and you're trying to get, cut in line or like get someone out of your way in the grocery line. But she herself is by Colonel John. So Colonel John himself, not someone you think is the best stamina influence, but let's not forget he did win the Santa Anita Derby and he was a Travers Stakes winner, so he could get classic distances. And he has a quite interesting and rich pedigree, full of stamina. Himself being by Tisnow, of course, a Breeders' Cup winner, classic winner, out of a mare called Sweet Damsel, who has Aladar breeding, which I love Aladar, one of my favorite horses of all time. Aladar's son Turkoman, who could run over a route of ground. And then Ma'am's dam, Lady Saphonica, is by Siphon, a Brazilian-bred stallion born in 1991, grade 1 or group 1 winner over 2 continents, could easily get a mile and a half when asked, or 2,400 meters, 12 furlongs, et cetera, et cetera. So there really is quite a plethora of stamina in this pedigree that would blend very well, and it makes sense. What a great job on the breeding here to blend well with that speed from Golden Sense.
Very interesting. We see, I apologize, I've not updated the Mystik Dan slide. Clearly, the last start was not the third in the Arkansas Derby, but the first in this year's Kentucky Derby. What do you think of Mystik Dan going forward? I mean, with as much as he was still finishing despite the pace battle in this year's Kentucky Derby, do you think, long-term target, do you think, we were talking off air about the dirt mile versus the classic, do you think he would potentially emulate the sire and think about the shorter distance of the dirt mile, or do you think they'd be full bore wanting to send him to a race like the Breeders' Cup Classic, just from what you're looking at in the pedigree?
Honestly, I think he should easily get the classic distance at 10 furlongs. I don't see a problem with it. I don't think he has that quick speed to do the dirt mile. I know the dirt mile historically is favored horses, except for Cody's Wish, another all-time favorite. Historically, that race is favored horses on the pace or on the lead. I don't think that's him. We saw how he dove through that hole very bravely on the rail in the Derby, and he needed, although he held on by a nose at that 10 furlong distance, I think he's sent him to the Classic again. I know the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile can be a stallion building race, but as we've discussed, I think the Classic holds a lot more weight, and why not? He's already proven over 10 furlongs. I think it would be the appropriate option to go that way.
These are connections who do not shy away from a challenge. We've seen that time and again, even with wanting to run one over at Epsom in the Oaks a few years ago. Not a venture that worked out the way they wanted, but still not afraid of challenges. So yeah, you would think the Classic would be the one. What about a very early Preakness thought? It sounds like we've gotten some good news that first night. That sounded like he didn't fully get in the feed tub. There was a little bit of hesitation, but the news I'm seeing sounds very positive about him making the big race next Saturday. What's your guess? Will we see Mystik Dan in the Preakness, and how do you think he'll make out there?
I don't want to jinx it. Knock on wood. He's eating really well. I'm just focused. I heard Kenny McPeak say if he stays in the feed tub, he can go to the Preakness. The horse will tell me, and I just appreciate that so much. A true Hay Oats Water trainer. Derby couldn't happen to better connections. Just so happy for the McPeaks and owners and such. But if he keeps his head in the feed tub and he keeps galloping strong, I think he'll end up in the Preakness. I just really hope that he keeps his weight, keeps being a happy horse, but all systems are go. Again, knock on wood really hard. I don't want to be the one to jinx this.
We'll cross fingers and we'll accept your answer and we'll suggest, and we don't mean this as a terrible insult the way it might sound. With that answer, you may have a future in politics, as I sometimes tell Jonathan.
Diplomatic.
Alex, thanks for these thoughts. We're going to be checking in with you much more about pedigrees, JRA racing, and some other racing too, quite possibly, as we go down the line here on the In the Money Media YouTube channel. We encourage folks to subscribe and click that notification bell so you never miss a video. Alex, we'll be talking soon.
Thank you. Talk